Hello and welcome to today's FIFA World Cup post-match analysis session using SkillCorner tracking data. We are going to focus on England's match against Mexico, where they could beat altitude with their attitude. So when we look into the FIFA post-match summary report, we can see that for Mexico, 4-1-2-3 has been reported, and for England, they had 4-2-3-1. We are going to use the tracking data provided by SkillCorner, where we have access to the players and the ball's coordinates 10 frames per second. As you can see on the right side, this is basically from the first half, just before the hydration break, and you can see that really Mexico was pushing high up on the pitch, trying to score the first goal, and England sitting in a low block situation, if you have watched the match, which was probably in the middle of the night. So we are going to use the method described in my PhD thesis, identification of team tactical formations and player positions in association football, where the idea is that simply for each team, the outfield players, the 10 outfield players, we fit in a graph as shown on the left side. We call it the shape graph. And then we just color this graph, the nodes, and these color combinations that you can see, the vertical colors from dark blue to dark red, tell you the vertical alignment of the player from the back line to the front line. And then we have the horizontal colors from dark brown to dark green for the horizontal, let's say, channels from left to the right, let's say, side. So each player has two colors in each moment of the match, basically in each in-play frame. And this pair of colors tell you whether the player is playing, for example, a right center back or a left center back, or even a left center forward. So what we can do, we can just look into this graph first, which we call the shape graph, and just report the frequent shape graphs per team over the first match segment. For example, for Mexico, until the halftime, we see this structure where the players are located in their average locations, and the edges are the, let's say, common edges we have from the shape graph that are present in more than 1/3 of the frames. So I think this picture is probably what more or less we all felt when Mexico was really pushing high up on the pitch, putting a lot of players on the front line. Here you can compare, for example, the 4-1-2-3 that FIFA has reported as a prediction for the starting lineup formation with the structure that Mexico is showing. I think it's clear that the number of players on the front line are more than 3. So you have maybe 16, 9, 19, 25. Simply, you can just say they are back 4, even front 4, but you can even maybe have an argument for number 23 and number 2 even. How is the picture for England? So we have this same, let's say, structure shown for them, the frequent shape graphs, but clearly this gives you the impression that it's a 4-2-4, maybe we can argue, where these are the back 4, the double pivots, and then the 4 players on the front line. So this is the picture we end up with until the red card that they received, which was, I think, some minutes into the second half. And I think when you compare these two pictures, you can clearly see that England really sitting back. So that's why this average is really into their own half, but also for Mexico, it's more towards England's half. So let's go back to this coloring scheme that we have introduced for the vertical and horizontal levels. We want to just see whether we can learn more about England's formation during the match time, given that they won this game and made it to the next round. So probably it's going to be more interesting to focus on them. What we can do, we can pick a player, the starting player from England, Saka, and we just visualize the time series of the color pairs that we have inferred for him to, let's say, occupy during the in-play time of the match. You can see, for example, number 7, Saka, the vertical alignment is mainly red. You can see that there are moments that he drops back to the back line or goes to the midfield line. But overall, we can say until when he was on the pitch, he was playing on the front line vertically. And when it comes to the horizontal level, you can see dark green. So that translates to the right channel. So simply dark green and dark red tell you that he was the right forward player. There is a gap in the time series and a dot inside it. This is the moment. Because of the dot, it tells us that number 7 was taken out. And number 5, John Stones, comes in as a substitute. So I think it's clear that from the colors here, you don't rely on the names, that the dark blue tell you that number 5 for England was playing in the back line. And mainly it's light green. So that tells you right center channel, or simply he was the right center back. There are some moments he was going really to the right back, or even he was going to the left back, as you can see, because of the dark brown color or dark green color. Then it comes to the second substitution for England. And after that, you can see he was, let's say, more in the right center back. The time series keeps going until the last round of the substitutions for England with the last gap. And after that, he was still in the back line in the right center channel. So we can just take the time series of all individual players that started for England, the 10 players shown from left, and then there are some potential substitutions shown on the right, and we can just stack them to get a full picture of how England played in this game and how, let's say, different dynamics played out. Looking into the, let's say, maybe the first half for England, you can see that we can maybe clearly see there is a back 4. Number 26 was playing the right back. He was going more forward because of the dark red color and light red color we can see for him in the vertical level compared to the left back, number 3, O'Reilly. Number 2 was the right center back. Number 6 was the left center back. Number 4 and 8 were basically the double pivots. Number 4 was to the right, 8 was to the left because of the light green color you can see for number 4 and light brown color mainly you can see for number 8. Number 10, Jude Bellingham. He was reported to be the attacking midfield based on the starting lineup formation that FIFA provided, but you can see mainly dark red is what we can see for him. So he was really jumping to the front line, and because of the light brown color, so he was really jumping to the front line from the left side. So he the left center forward. And then number 9, Harry Kane, no surprise, he was the player on the front line. Then he was basically to the right of Jude Bellingham. And when it comes to the wingers, number 7, the right winger, as we saw before, and number 18, just the left winger, dark red and dark brown. So I think we can say 4-2-4 can better capture how England has started the game, basically having 4 players on the front line to defend in the first line of defense against the high, let's say, pressure that England faced in the first maybe 25 minutes against Mexico. Then you can see clearly the hydration break shown with the clock in this timeline. We are using the gaps we see in the tracking data based on when the game is in play and not in play. And because it was more than 2 minutes, we have this clock here. So this is how we infer the hydration break. And you can here maybe say that England really didn't change before the hydration break and after that. So there is no tactical change that we can observe based on data. Then it comes to the, let's say, halftime. And in the halftime, you can see that opponent is making a change. So that's what you see, the vertical line with the substitution sign. But England doesn't make any substitution. And you can even say that after the halftime, they were going with the same, more or less, structure, 4-2-4. And it comes to this moment in the game where you can see the time series for number 26 is discontinued. This is because he received a red card after a VAR review and he was not on the pitch anymore. So England was 1 man down in Mexico, playing against Mexico, and they needed to make change. And that's what they did because it's in the back line, so they clearly needed to adjust. So you can see there is a substitution coming up with the first gap you can see in the vertical level. And the number 7, Saka, the right wing, is taken out, and number 5 comes in. So now we have the context for the time series we saw before. We know why Saka has been taken out and why a defender is coming on the pitch, because there is a, let's say, player from the back line that is basically missing for England, so they need to adjust their defensive structure. What does this mean? Number 5 comes in. He's not going to replace the right back position because it's dark blue and light green. So that's based on the 5x5 metrics. He is the right center back. So that's why number 2 for England is moving from the right center back to the right back. You can see the horizontal colors for him has changed from light green to dark green. So he is the new right back. Number 6 is still playing in the left center back. And number 3 is really, interestingly, a bit going more up to put the pressure kind of on the opponent. I think, but what you can say is that for this time period, where England made the first substitution until they make the second one, they moved to a 4-2-3. You can just use the coloring that we have inferred and just know which players are in the back line. Clearly, number 2, number 6, number 3, and number 5, the backline players. The 3 midfielders are number 4, number 8, and number 10. You can see he clearly Bellingham has dropped to the back line more or less. He's not, the dark red color is now becoming light red color, it becomes light blue color, so he's moving down, but also it's a very short time interval because then it comes to the second round of the substitution for England, where they bring number 15 to play basically in the back line. So they bring a tall defender who maybe has experience playing in a high altitude up there. And then you can see number 3 is also taken out, the left back, and they bring in number 25 to replace the left back position. So I think this is the moment that you can clearly see that they took one of the double pivots or one of the 3 players in the midfield after the red card, and England moved to even a more conservative structure, 5-3-1, because they wanted to really keep the win, and they were 1 man down. So 1 man down, so that's what they needed to do. So let's see what we can else find out. So the 5 players in the back line, number 2, right back, 6 is because of the dark blue, but also it's more gray. So you can see he was really the center back. Number 25, the left back. Number 15 comes as a left center back. And number 5 is the right center back. So the 2 players in midfield are Bellingham, that you can see mainly that his color is now gray. So he's really going to the midfield line. Number 4, his color is more red, but also over the whole time interval, if you look, he's also a lot of gray and light blue. So, and then another player who drops back from the left wing position is number 18. So that's why you can say 5-3-1 is what England played, because number 9 is still staying on the front line as a lone striker. And even the last substitution that England makes, number 17, you can even argue that they didn't change the formation. It's still 5-3-1. because number 17 is basically while he's replacing the lone striker, this is the moment that Billingham is jumping on to fill in that lone striker position that has become empty. So still a 5-3-1 is what England played. So starting 4-2-4, going to 4-3-2, and ending the match in a 5-3-1 to make it to the next round and face Norway. I think it was interesting when I watched the post-match press conference. Thomas Tuchel, the head coach from England, he talked about this exact situation. He said, before we scored, we played a 4-3-2. So then we scored, then we conceded a penalty, and then Mexico played basically all in, and we defended in a 5-3-1 until the end. So you can clearly see the 4-3-2 that he mentions, and that's exactly what we saw here. The 5-3-1 that he mentions, that's how they ended the game, and that's also how we used the coloring to infer that. And we can also say that even they started the match in a 4-2-4, he didn't talk about that because he was talking mainly about what has happened after the red card. I think what is interesting from his quote is that he's talking about the more context. You had the penalty, you had the goals, but since you're only using tracking data, we didn't have that information to annotate in this time series. Of course, if you have a synchronized event and tracking, you can add more, let's say, vertical bars for the shots, maybe for penalty, for goals, and just provide more context into the positional adjustments that, in this case, England made. I think that's it for today, and thanks for your attention. And if you are interested in the same visualization for Mexico, just write it in the comments and I will share it there. Have a nice day ahead.